Next up, we're going to hear from Hiran Patel at Accenture. Hiran's been working with customers to deploy Oracle technologies and cloud security solutions that help them have a successful migration from on-premises environment into the cloud. And he has a lot of great experience from frontline what customers are doing. Welcome, Hiran.
Thank you, Fred, for having me.
Hiran, to get started, can you tell us more about Accenture's strategies to help customers secure their cloud deployments?
Sure. One of the key differentiators Accenture has is that we've announced a cloud-first strategy for all our clients. It's a transformational process. We use our best practices. We've gleaned from hundreds and thousands, actually, of migrations to the cloud and different vendors. And we've used that training and the knowledge and know-how to develop a set of standards and reference guides to help all our new clients transform and migrate to the cloud. There's also research divisions that are focused primarily on Oracle Cloud Security and cloud security in general. And from their research and development work, we've also produced tooling and solution spaces that allow our customers an easier transition and identifying critical concerns that they have when they migrate up.
Hiran, can you outline some of the technical and security challenges your customers face with cloud adoption, in particular, maybe the business implications beyond just their IT framework?
Yeah, each client has a different set of challenges based on their sector and industry and best practices, right? The majority of the challenges I personally have seen our clients face are relating to actually the change and tweak in their business processes they'll have to undertake during that digital transformation, including retooling employee skill sets and usability training to use the new technology stack. In terms of security specifically, customers will have specific regulatory compliance meetings, worrying concerns about financial cost, business efficiency. All these factors have to be balanced when we do a deployment or a migration to the cloud. Personally, I like to make sure that security compliance doesn't hinder business processes and innovation growth that's going to be becoming part of the migration. Simple example I give people is the idea of passwords, right? Too stringent of a password policy just makes it harder for employees to kind of get in, stay in service, and also constantly having to change their password. They get into bad, I would say, password hygiene, where they store the passwords or they keep reusing passwords. So ideally, one of the benefits I see with Oracle IAM, I turn on multi-factor authentication. And that ensures that we have the right people connecting, and it's easier to track who's logging into our systems.
So, you mentioned Oracle IAM. Are there specific Oracle sort of cloud security services that your customers are deploying? And I'm kind of curious, what kind of workloads are those attached? I know with migration, customers move different workloads, different times. But what kind of security services are you turning off your customers, and then kind of what kind of workloads are those attached to?
Again, every client is different, but in general, we'll use IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS in multiple cases, right? We do have a larger majority of customers just moving the IaaS platform, but we'll have also migrations happening in the PaaS and SaaS side as well. But in terms of what features that are being utilized, we are utilizing all of them. Recent ones, GovCloud, we're using IaaS, CASB, your DBaaS solutions, including Exadata, Autonomous Database Warehouse, Vault. So all the gambit of potential security solutions are being thought of and utilized depending on the customer's need. In the past, we did several migrations. One success story I can point to is the state of Kansas Keys project. That was a multi-year migration that actually happened within a matter of 6 months. One of the biggest challenges with that migration was it had to be a state solution that was on-prem and it was antiquated and had to move to the Oracle Cloud Gov regions. Oracle Cloud being FedRAMP really helped the migration because we had to meet very strict MARZ 2.0 requirements. During that successful migration, we were able to migrate some what we'll call out of end-of-life versions of IAM and Stack and other technology stacks that they continue to use and move them successfully to the Oracle Cloud, as well as maintaining that MARZ compliance for multi-years. Finally, recently, we've noticed that there was a greater demand because of COVID for VPN access. So we're able to quickly turn around a VPN and firewall solution to expand access to government employees during the COVID crisis.
Ron, one of the things that we put a lot of focus on is making the autonomous database kind of self-securing, so automating patching and dealing with configuration drift and such. And are you finding that, or how is that helping you secure your customers' data?
Migrating security data, it requires what we call data flows, right? So one of the things I like to use, and it's become a standard practice, is to look at the data flows, figure out where the data is coming in and going out to their system. This is how solutions like Autonomous kind of help secure that data. Autonomous takes a lot of manual processes that are normally handled by an IT department and helps reduce security administration costs, as well as automating downtime and reducing time and patching. The always-on encryption at rest for like TDE and TLS on data in motion is definitely a big plus as well. Most common vulnerabilities we don't have to worry about because they're continuously patched by Oracle. There's many aspects there.
One of the things we focus on was building in security, Hiran, and we do that in a lot of different products and services. I'm kind of curious, the benefits that you see or your end customers see, from the security that Oracle's actually built in.
Yeah, your security by design premise was really a great process transition that's helped kind of get customers signed off on using Oracle Cloud Platform. The cloud first approach, tiered security defenses that you created, the security tooling, and all the different tendencies that's included by default, highly protected operations. Customers reduced their risks and threats from security first design principles and through tenant isolation and least privilege access. All these play a big role in coming up with the final solution for the customer.
On the threat side of things, I know we've done a lot. You talked about the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and some of our services. Things you've seen that are helping you deal with sort of the threat environment for your customers. There's always, keep things secure from kind of inside out, but we've also, it's important to defend against threats and understand what an organization is facing.
Yeah, that's right. The benefit again is with Accenture's background, we do have a cyber defense organization through our acquisition of Semantic Cyber Services. But one of the lessons we learned when migrating the cloud is that we can utilize, I should say, this is specific to Oracle. Oracle's introduced the CASB and security zones with the zero cost. That alone kind of reduces security posture for many clients, because the biggest, I would say, the causes for poor security compliance is poor configuration changes. We've given the customer all the security background and technology stack, but they potentially have open configurations in many different cases. This is where CASB comes in, alerting and notifying customers of poor configurations, and then also the max security zones, for instance. We can guarantee that no configuration changes happen in that area space, that nothing changes, and we know that things that are going to be entering that system will be guaranteed not to be exposed.
Ron, maybe a final question. Most customers, they have their cloud is a journey. They're moving from on-premises into cloud. And I'm curious what you've seen from hybrid deployments and how you and Accenture, and maybe even in combination with Oracle, have helped customers, move these on-premises technologies into the cloud, and particularly when they kind of have perhaps a toe in, both on-premises and cloud.
Yeah, so hybrid deployments is definitely something customers do as a first step. They go low-tier solutions, low-cost solutions that are not of the highest criticality in their business processes. They try to migrate them over. Part of that also is a benefit for them to understand what steps will be required during that migration. But again, when they look at cloud deployments, everyone looks at workload offloading. Personally, at Accenture, we look at the company's data flows, as I mentioned earlier, and security of the data assets. This is where Oracle really shines. Oracle being an enterprise data management company leader for decades, we know, and the customers can trust that the data that's being migrated to Oracle will be secured and will have all the safeguards needed to secure the data. So that being the first part of the formula of the migration, we think about the data, how long it'll take, and the different challenges they're going to have about migrating, cleaning up the data. There's another thing customers forget, is that they'll have old data sitting on their systems that necessarily doesn't need to migrate to the cloud, kind of worrying about the potential cost savings there, as well as not having to worry about data that's from antiquated systems and easily can migrate to newer technology stacks.
Ron, this has been greatly beneficial. Thanks for sharing your insights and experiences as you've been helping customers migrate to cloud. It's great to hear the customer stories live from the streets. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Fred.
Thank you again for joining. You can learn more at oracle.com/security or simply search Oracle Security. Thanks for joining.